Going into orbit. Such an exciting thing to do. Oh, hi everybody. Welcome back to the Daily Kerbal. Hope you like my construction. It's a pretty big thing this time. Today, I've decided that there's something that, it's come time for us to do again. More importantly, there are other things that, besides just, routine stuff that needs to get done, like shutting down our operation on Minmus now that, it's not really going to be used and we need the astronauts there for other missions. Also, though, I think it's about time that we started getting serious about space planes. And that is what we have here today. This is, believe it or not, a space plane. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, hey, isn't a space plane supposed to be like a plane taking off from a runway? And I'm like, yeah. Except for, every actual space plane that has ever existed in real life, like the space shuttle that was also launched from a launch pad. Anyway, I can't do what they did with the space shuttle. I don't know, it's probably just because, again, my understanding of the Kerbal Space Program mechanics and just space travel in general is weak. But I can't build a space plane and put a bunch of giant thrusters on it and reliably launch it up into orbit. It'll always tip over in some direction because of, the center of mass not being in the right spot. So instead, what I'm doing is I put it in a fairing, attached a couple of large rockets to it, and I just, threw money at the problem, basically. Just saying, we can't, pilot's not good enough, that being me, obviously. But this is fine, just put it on a giant rocket and send it up into orbit. I mean, nothing else, then that should work, right? Well, yeah, kinda. I guess it will. And it did. Pretty much. And I guess it's time for the big reveal. There she is, the Whitebird. I named her that because of the obvious resemblance to the Blackbird, right, which was a high-altitude aircraft. But obviously, since Kerbal Space Program doesn't have any option for us to color things, it's white. So this is the Whitebird. That explanation didn't need to be that long at all. Our mission for today, I decided to do this because, right, space planes are definitely something that we're going to need to get good at anyway. And all this thing has to do is, like, this is space shuttle stuff, right? We launched it up into orbit, and now all we have to do is go collect the crew from Minmus, which is admittedly a lot smaller. Keep an eye on that. It's a lot smaller because the Minmus operation wasn't nearly as big as the Moon operation was. And just bring it back and land it. I feel pretty confident that I can land this. It's mostly filled with rocket fuel. Just because I don't think that the landing itself needs that much liquid fuel, considering that we're not actually going to be doing a lot of atmospheric flying, just a landing basically. The big problem here obviously is going to be the fuel consumption that it takes to get from place to place. So step one is going to be docking with, step one is actually going to be establishing orbit. Step two is going to be docking with the Dinkelstein-Kerbin space station. Because you can see how fast this thing eats through fuel, right? So this spacecraft probably couldn't make a single return flight on its own fuel supply. Oh, there we go. The camera's flipped. Orbit has been established. Now just wait for it to get high enough. 60, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There we go. We got ourselves an intersect and everything. Only a little bit out of proportion. That's fine. Let's go fix that. I'm definitely going to want to fuel up every step of the way anyway, so I'm going to skip through the docking procedure and the rendezvous procedure again, just because you've seen this a billion times already. Actually, I take that back. I am going to bring up the docking procedure because that is going to be a little different. A little, not that much. It's just we're going to be using an inline docking system, the one that we used for the. Oh no, wait, I didn't show you that, did I? I built an Ike station. I did that off camera just because it wasn't. The station construction itself wasn't at all that interesting. So yeah, I did that. And I used a space construction vehicle that had an inline docking port. Here, I'll show it to you. Actually, it's dark right now, so you can't see it. That's fine. I'll show you when we get close. I'm going to cut the recording right now, and when we return, we should be somewhere in proximity of the Kerbal Space Station. See you soon. Okay, there she is. Turn my RCS on. So we're kind of parked here right now. Oh, come on, don't do this to me. There we go. We're now just headed a little fast, so let's slow ourselves down a bit. Or a lot. We just use the computer to push us to retrograde. Burning through a lot of monopropellant fuel, but that should be fine. Okay. There's the SCV, by the way. I honestly just... It's been a while since I've recorded a Kerbal Space Program episode, and I can't remember if I've shown you this or used it, but... the more I think about it, the more I'm pretty certain that I did. Anyway, so target number 1 is just going to be to dock here. This space station does have room for a number of Kerbols, and I've decided that in the interest of keeping things fresh and trying multiple things, this aircraft is going to have several flights. I have already decided this. We are going to have multiple flights with this. For now, one of the things that I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to put Mirbart up here on the Kerbal Space Station, just so that whoever is in command of the station can get a crew transfer. So it's just, me taking the opportunity. I haven't done an actual crew transfer mission yet, as to get pilots or, Kerbols who have long since been operating on board space stations to, get off of it. But as long as we're here, I might as well do a crew transfer, just because I like to do that. I like to keep variety, Make sure that all my Kerbols have interesting missions. Okay. So let's quickly perform the docking and refueling maneuvers. There we go. It's funny how my target isn't working the way I like it to. Anyway, we are well enough lined up, so now let's open up the docking port. I'm going to control from here. There we go. I was looking at the nav ball again, that's why I went quiet like that. I'm also probably going to have to retract these. Oh, well, too late. Or maybe not. Hang on. I've run out kind of easily accessible docking ports of this size, right? I need to make more. I need to kind of redesign the station, add a couple extra pods to it. Okay, anyway, we should be... There we go. Our docking has been successful. This is what it looks like. It's a pretty glorious sight, if I do say so myself. Anyway, let's refuel. You should have a bunch of full fuel tanks here already. Gotta fill that one. Gotta fill that one. Gotta fill that one. Gotta fill that one. That one. And that one. And then we're emptying it from this, no? From this one. Fill her up, boys. This is going to take a little while. And unfortunately, I can't just let it run and do other things because the moment I click off any of it, it stops. But we should be heading over to Minmus with a full tank of fuel. And that's going to be pretty awesome. And then I'm gonna have to decide which Kerbal is going to pilot the spacecraft. Mirbart brought it up to orbit, onto the station, and then we're going to send someone else. It's got a crew pod, excuse me, with exactly enough room for every single member of the Minmus mission. That includes Brooke, I believe, on the orbital station, and I honestly can't remember the names of the two pilots that we have down on the surface. So anyway, that's the refueling done. Now let's complete the crew transfer. Mirbart, get in here. And then who do we have in here? We have Durster, Samri, and Jogard. Which one of you is a pilot? Durster is a pilot. Samri's an engineer. Jogard is also a pilot. Jogard already has 2 stars, which comes, I believe, with the orbiting of Minmus. Now, whoever we're taking is also going to be landing on Minmus, so we'll have it be Durster. You get. All right, quick save. Now, as long as I'm here, you know, before I undock, I'm going to set Minmus as our target. Excuse me. And we are actually in exactly the right spot for the ascent-descent burn. Got 6 degrees to correct in the normal direction. So, let's do it. Let's undock. Alright. Switch to the craft. Make sure we're controlling from here. Activate RCS. And then use a small RCS burst to push us away from the station. There we go. Now wait till we clear it. Speed it up a bit. There we go. Now we're going to flip over to our... can actually turn off the monopropellant thrusters. We're going to need those later. Switch over to our vector right there. Minmus is still the target. We've already passed our burn anyway, so I'm just going to wait till we rotate around to the other side. Have us set for anti-normal. And then hope we have enough fuel left. Wonder why we're not... I must have missed a fuel tank because we're not at full fuel. Oh yeah, I missed this one. Well, shoot. That's that much less fuel that we are going to be doing this mission with, but it should be fine. For all intents and purposes, by the way, space planes, once you get them out into space, they fly exactly the same way as they would if they were spaceships. So there's no difference there. Difference, obviously, is only when you start, you know, flying them in the atmosphere. I have yet to successfully build a space plane that I can send, you know, actually send it to another, even just up into orbit from a runway. That's something that I have never been able to do. I should be able to land it, though, easily. Because landing a space plane is essentially the same as landing a spacecraft, just a bit more precise. There we go. Our orbital incline is now set. We have burned through a lot of fuel, but we're now ready to go make our shot to Minmus. Let's add a maneuver here. All right. See if we can't get this. So our periapsis there is 35,000 meters. I like it. Thinking is that we might be catching Minmus on the wrong. puts us on free return, that's better. But if we can get closer, then getting into orbit should be easier. That'll do. Alright, see if we can't find that marker. I wonder why the space station is still marked in green. Is it still set as our target? I don't see it anywhere, so I guess it isn't. Anyway, we got 16 minutes until our burn, so let's just rotate ahead. Burn's going to take 1 minute 7 seconds. Believe that when I see it. Alright, let's get going. Look at those engines. Look at them. It's kind of engine specifically designed for a spaceplane, by the way. And while we're doing this burn, don't need to go that quickly. I think I might as well just go ahead and show off what else I have on this. So it has a radial docking port, obviously, which is important to dock. Also makes it so that the plane can stay nice and aerodynamic in atmosphere and still have docking capabilities. It has a 4-person crew hatch, crew pod. 4 people can fit inside this crew hatch, this module, as well as 2 people in the pilot's seat. So it's a total we can fly. This is a 6-person passenger cruiser, basically. Then what we also have in this storage pod, we have the reaction wheels that help us flip around if we need it. We have a couple of solar panels in case we need to generate electricity. Always good to have those on board. And this is also where we keep our monopropellant tanks and our batteries inside, tucked away. On spacecrafts that don't have to enter the atmosphere, I'm fine having those on the outside, but here, not so much. Also, these used to be liquid fuel canisters. Now they're rocket fuel canisters, which means they don't only have liquid fuel, but also oxidizers in there as well, which is something that we need in order to, because there's no air out in space to support combustion. That's why oxidizers need to be carried. So because of that, right, the monopropellant thrusters that I had on the bottom of these are gone now. The reason that's important is because, as you can probably imagine, this thing has to land on Minmus 2. And that's not necessarily an easy thing to do with a craft that looks like this. Because even though it does have wheels and it can land on, in the atmosphere as it would like an airplane, that's not how I intend to land it on Minmus. On Minmus, I intend to land it somewhat differently. I intend to land it pretty much like I would a regular spaceship. Okay, we're not quite there yet. Now we are. Okay, let's see how good a periapsis we can get out of this. Closer the better. That might be a little too close. 2,312 could actually get us crashed in the surface. I'm also considering right now whether I want to... That's better. I'm also considering right now whether I want to dock at the station before I land, or whether I want to land directly and then take off again. I guess docking is probably a better idea considering the amount of fuel that we have left. Anyway, let's perform the flight first. There goes the moon, flying right by it as it goes away. Comms are running weak. It's because our antenna is not extended. It's another thing I discovered, that it actually makes a difference whether or not your antenna is extended or whether it's just stowed away. In space flight, I guess you might as well just have it open all the time. Anyway, here we are. We're at our periapsis. So let's complete our orbital insertion burn. Might as well set the Floyd Dynamics Minmus station as our target. And there should be plenty of fuel left to dock. It might even be enough fuel left to land, but I honestly don't want to risk it. This thing doesn't have any docking ports that are at the right height for me to refuel it on the surface. So I'm going to have to refuel it. The only place I can refuel it is at the space station. I'm actually at the exact right spot to perform a burn to bring our ascent node back down too. So let's do that. See if I can find our normal vector. No, that's the wrong direction. This is the way. There we go. Actually, no, wait a minute. That is not right at all. I was right the first time. Let's wait till we get a little closer. This isn't going to take a lot of fuel at all. 2, 1, up. Oh, 0.1's good enough. All right, back to retrograde. Yep, this thing burns through pretty much all of its fuel in a single run, so refueling stations, absolutely a necessity. Okay, now I guess we kind of just rotate until everything is all well and good. In this case, I'm probably just going to plot my my course right here. I'm going to set us to retrograde right here in front of the intersect. And then when we get there, right now, it should pop way up ahead. Yep, all the way over there. So now back at the periapsis point, pointed at our retrograde vector, let's burn just enough to get us an intersect. I mean, a rendezvous. This is the intersect. These two being close together is a rendezvous. All right, I'm going to activate our RCS thrusters and use that to absolutely pinpoint this. They're 0.4 kilometers. Quick saved. Relative speed, 7.4 meters per second. Easy. Easy money. Easiest money ever made. Alright. Alright, we're 1 minute in. Switch to our target speed. I don't quite understand. Oh, there we go. Okay. So I'm going to use the thrusters to align us. I can actually probably afford to move a little bit more towards the station. There we go. We're aligned perfectly now. Intersect should be like 0.00, yep. Now all I have to do is slow down when I get close. So this ship can very easily make the journey to Minmus. That means that I think it would only need a little modification to properly make a trip to Duna. This is also good to know because if I am going to get quests to return a vehicle from the surface of Duna. It's going to happen sooner or later. And the only thing that can do that properly is probably going to be a space plane. Alright. Speed us up a bit. Bring us in nice and close. Alright. It's close enough. Now slow us down. 1 meter per second. There we go. Now I gotta look for a friendly docking node. I'm actually not certain that this thing can dock there, now that I think about it. Like how even in space the wings are still flapping. Let's bring us down to actual parking speed here. Yeah, I might not be able to park this vessel here, in which case my entire mission is bust. We'll see. Alright. just move up next to it. See what the situation is. There we go. Oh, no, never mind. We got a docking port. All right. Orient ourselves properly. Oh, that's, oops. Excuse me. Okay. Roughly about now I can switch over to this one. Control from here. Now I can just use my nav ball this time. The moment I look at the spacecraft when I'm doing this, my entire concept of direction is going to be upside down. So as long as I keep using my nav ball, the vector and the pointer in the right spot, everything should be fine. See, I have now almost lined up exactly with the docking nodes, so now we just gotta glide on in. Oh. Come on. Click! Okay, just gotta let the vessel sink in there, and there we have it. We have our docking. I'm going to call the episode here. I've been recording for about a half an hour, and then in the next episode we're going to land, we're going to pick him up, and we're going to take him back and perform a landing on Kerbal. So thank you very much for watching, everybody. To see you soon in the next episode.